Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back with some Blades in the Dark today. So before we head round and say hello to all these lovely people here, please check out the links coming up in the chat now. That includes the Discord. We have a channel just for this game. We'd love to hear what you think about it. Also, Twitter. If you'd like to get in a game, we have so many viewer games on this season. Head over to Twitter and drop Scrat ADM, and we will get you on the list. If you've missed out on anything, you can head over to YouTube and catch up over there, as all of our games are in playlists. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors, who we couldn't do this without, in the form of Magehand Press. You can now buy their Dark Matter and order it in store on in-store hardback, which is basically D&D meets space, which is one of my favorite things. Also, you can see their Fey Folio yesterday over here on the Academy as well. Also, the Deck of Many with the Deck of Many Things and the Magic Moving Spell cards, and Humblewood. They're very wholesome, the complete opposite of this game, Woodland Critters, which is after this game, funnily enough. Also a viewer game, so drop Scrat a DM for that. Last but certainly not least, also Hero Forge, that do the wonderful minis, both in colour and not. We're about to be doing some more things with them soon, which I'm very excited about. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Otherwise, let's head round and say hello to all these lovely people. And I'm just going to call people by their character names now, because I just keep doing it. So let's start with Dabo 2 for 1. Oh, hi.
Hey everybody, how are you? I play Dabo 2 for 1, Casino Royale extraordinaire. I don't know. We have this awesome crew, and we all have parts we're playing, and every week more and more things revealed. Other than that, you can find me at Crusade Warlords on Twitter, Warlords Crusade on the internet, warlordscrusade.com for suits of armor, and just lovely to get a break from what's going on in the world and sit in a different room in my house and play this game.
This is such a mood. This is my room. Otherwise, thank you. Let's hop around and say hello to the lovely Spurs. Oh, hi.
Hello, my name is Simon. I play Spurs, the cutter for the crew. You can find me on Twitter and on itch at Lucha Libris.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. And then we're going to hop over to our lovely Odessa. Oh, hi.
Hey, it's Nassim. I'm also Odessa, and I'm also everywhere else on the internet at Nazgul. And if you're bored and you want more streams, I also stream on the Venture Maidens Twitch on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. Woo!
Fabulous. Thank you. And then we're going to hop over and say hi to our lovely Blue. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. My real name's Tiffany. I play Blue, who is about to get really drunk, which is going to be a good bit of catharsis. Just imagine a catharsis. I'm excited.
Wonderful, thank you. And last but certainly not least, Rajani.
Hi, I'm Izza, and I play Rajani, the Whisper. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at EvilCleverDog. And if you want to watch a cool D&D 5e show to get you through this like miserable, lonely quarantine, then I play on a show called Life of the Party, and you can find us at Life OT Party D&D on Twitter.
Awesome, thank you. Last week, we ended up leaving Odessa on the table, guarded by her trusty bat companion back at the 13th floor. Davo 2 for 1 took, and Thomas went ahead to get to the party and also speak to a friend to just get some information, exchange some ideas and wariness. Otherwise, we all headed over to the Dimmer Sisters, and we arrived at this very elaborate manor, this huge party, the acrobats sort of swinging from the ceiling, these large ice sculptures, huge sort of tables of white linen and food, and oil paintings all over the walls, huge marble staircases. It had a real feel of wealth about it. And Blue met this very sort of, not nervous, probably excited, if anything, to be at her first sort of party, Amelia Crowfield, a sort of a trader and creator of fine garments and materials here. And Spurs at the last moment, was introduced to her brother. And that is where we will start. As Spurs, this gentleman that looks fairly handsome, fairly tall, not broad, just lean more than anything, well-dressed, very well-dressed. Holds out his hand to you. Carlisle Crowfield, it's a pleasure to meet you. And you get that waft of rose petals from him as it enters your nostril. And he smiles, and it is a very friendly, warm smile. But there's, I will say, Spurs being Spurs, you notice a glint in his eye.
Believe me, the pleasure is all mine. And he tightens his grip for a second.
He sort of gives you that, that one shake and then lets go.
The release.
Yeah, the release as he sort of half lets go. He too leans on the balcony up ahead where you were looking and surveying over this party, where you could see all of your party members doing their thing, basically. And Carlisle looks over to you. You seem to be a fine man. What business are you in? And if it's not too impolite, what business do you have here?
I work in entertainment.
And it like stage work?
Well, I guess you could say that. Front of house.
Sort of raises an eyebrow. Anything I would know of?
Well, it depends. Arts.
So, are these your companions as well? He doesn't seem to see Dabo, or he does indicate towards Blue, as Blue's shorter.
Business associates. And as for business partners, yes. We are here to take in some of the high society, scout out sort of the general feeling in the rest of Doskvol right now. It's a prime time for looking for new opportunities, business partnerships that we might be able to cement. Sometimes it's good to get out and stretch your legs.
And there's a short pause after you finish talking. You can feel him sort of intently watching you. He's sort of nodding slowly at every single word you said, like he really is listening. I have myself felt there is a little bit of tension in the city, shall we say, lately. I'm not sure if I'm a little paranoid. Anything that can affect my business, I want to know about.
Spurs cracks his knuckles and settles back in again, leaning against the railing. I don't believe you've given me the courtesy of telling me what your business is, Mr. Carlisle.
Oh, and he sort of takes one arm and then turns towards you, still leaning his right arm on this balcony. He's like, I'm a merchant. I deal in fine wares. And he sort of brushes down his jacket. My sister, and he indicates over to where Blue and this young woman is. She is the designer. She's the brain. She's the, the real talent here, I have to say. I deal with the more business side of things more than anything else.
Sounds like in a funny way we've found mirrors for each other.
And he sort of, again, that bottom lip sort of curls and he nods. I would agree. And Blue, were you making your way upstairs? I believe you were taking.
Yes, I had the idea that Amelia and Spurs might like each other. What does Amelia look like, by the way?
Amelia, I think I said very, very pale. You could see where blush has been put on her cheeks to like look rosier. She's probably about 5'5", 5'6", very lean, long red hair, and dressed very, very, very well.
So super cute. I love it. I'm definitely dragging her upstairs to introduce her to Spurs. And I'll chat with her as I pull her in that direction. Oh, he's just the absolute best. You both are a little bit on the quiet side. I feel like you'll really get along. He's not a huge fan of parties either.
Yes. I don't really know what to do at parties, but and Spurs, you can hear this as they're sort of walking up the stairs, and Carlisle sort of nods his head and then turns and holds out an arm to guide his sister in, and it's like, my sister. I mean,
oh my gosh,
is Spurs? Did we say? I'm sorry. What did we say?
He actually used his
I was
real
going to say
name,
what I was gonna say,
Rashan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's like, oh, this is Rashan, and who might you be? As he sort of holds a hand out to you, Blue.
Blue, such a pleasure. Real quick aside, Spurs, do I know your real name, or is this information to me? Have you ever told me?
I think almost everyone in the criminal underworld knows him as Spurs. He does not like to use... It's a nickname that he was given, and he just like lets it stick because it's easier, I think, for a lot of people. This could very well be the first time that you've ever heard him not referred to by his alias.
Do you believe it's his real name, or is it you think? Does Spurs usually give a fake name when he meets people?
Yeah, have you given a fake name before?
I think most of the time, if we're in a situation where Spurs is like out and having to negotiate, something's gone horribly wrong, because he's the leg breaker, right? He's the muscle. He prefers to let people like Blue, like Daba, do the talking for him. I think when he does have to introduce himself to people, he usually uses Spurs as just like, this is what everyone calls me. You can call me that too. And you have the ability to know when people are lying. Like, he's absolutely not lying.
So I'm a little taken aback, but I'm excited. I think this is a good sign for this burgeoning romance that I've plotted. Right, yes. And of course, this is my close friend and colleague, Rashan.
And you, Spurs,
You've already met.
this Amelia holds her hand up to you. It's like, it's very nice to meet you.
He takes it, doesn't seem to know what to do with it, but like
she just lets you hold
very
it.
gently like holds it and tips his head. Charmed, I'm sure, and
she
takes her hand back.
Sort of awkward curtsy bob. You're not too sure what it is. She definitely seems awkward at this party. Her brother, absolutely not. You can see how he seems to flourish in this sort of atmosphere, and you can see a much more nervous disposition of her, and a very, I want to say, smarmy for him. It's definitely over the top a little bit. You can definitely tell that some of it is show.
So wait, I want to, I'm going to try and like finesse this situation. I'm going to look over the balcony and say, oh, what a lovely view from up here. And use that as an excuse to get us all in a line. So I'm going to try and guide Amelia to stand next to Spurs, and then I'm going to stand on the other side with her brother. So they have to stand next to each other, and I'll stand next to her brother and kind of like take his arm.
Okay, roll finesse for me then, please.
Finesse or sway?
I'll let you use sway if you're trying to get to look over the edge.
Controlled standard.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you can, whether Spurs notices or not, but you can just like arrange the group how they stand. As you take Carlisle's arm, he sort of looks down at it, gives you a bit of a smile, and looks to all of you. It's like, would anyone like a drink? Food?
Please.
Anything? Of course. And Amelia just sort of gives a bit of a nod And then he looks to you, Blue.
That sounds fantastic. You know, you probably don't have enough hands. Let me come and help you.
And again, there's that almost sickly smile as he guides you. He sort of gestures with his hand and guides you down the stairs, back into the party. Spurs, you are left with Amelia, who is literally looking for whatever Blue was pointing out, sort of looking over the balcony, and she looks over at you and says, do you like parties?
No.
No,
Never have.
I don't really like it either. She sort of looks over. She's like, there's too many people.
I'm not used to
People?
being crowded.
Yeah. It's just overwhelming in every sense, you know? People won't stop talking, they won't stop staring, and the smells in general are overwhelming, and it's just all the... And there's no one real here. No offense.
Well, not taken. Don't really have much of a reputation to uphold.
She sort of nods. She seems a bit more comfortable now she's up here.
Yeah. At least you can get a breath of fresh air.
That's true, if you can get a breath of fresh air here. And again, sort of looks around. You can see her nose wrinkle, and there is a lot of perfume sort of smell in the air. There's cooking, there's everything is very over the top. You even look around, and the amount of flowers that are in this place, you know they're not real, but they've been sprayed with perfume to give like that effect that they're real. And she looks back at you. She's like, I'm sorry if my brother comes across as smarmy at all.
Oh, I'm used to
Yeah.
guys that have that sort of attitude. A lot of people think they have to put on airs to impress people.
Oh, he's not trying to impress anyone. He's actually just like that. Yeah. And sort of looks awkwardly at her feet. And do you know the Dimmer sisters well?
We've crossed paths a few times. Professional acquaintances, really.
It's my first time meeting them. Brothers dealt with them a lot. I haven't. It's just... I don't get the fuss about this in general. Not everything else. But...
Well, as such an accomplished seamstress, I'm sure they would be honored to be wearing your designs.
Well, thank you. But I'd much rather be locked up in my shop making and designing things than here. It's just a bit... And she closes her eyes for a moment and rolls her head back. And then back forward again and drops it. As I said, it's overwhelming.
I can imagine being outside your comfort zone. It's not the most pleasant, especially if someone's dragging you somewhere you don't want to be.
That's true. And she looks at you fairly intently. You're not too sure what the look is. You're not sure. It's almost studying rather than anything else. And I will say, because of the way you are, you get that she's probably a bit of a watcher, like you, sort of looks at people to get a view rather than conversationally. And she watches her brother and Blue go past. Blue seems rather taken with him.
He's quite the charmer.
To some. And she sort of tips her head to the other side. It's... And her brow sort of furrows. I don't remember him ever being like anything else. He's always been like this. But, you know, I suppose that's how it works here.
Some people are born with a silver tongue. It's just the way it is. Not everybody has to work as hard for the ability to hold their own in a conversation.
And again, there's almost an understanding but confused nod as she watches her brother move across the dance floor towards the drinks. And we'll head over to Rajani and Dabo as you are being brought together by the two sisters, by Margaretti and Anastasia, as they both, it's kind of creepy the way as soon as you put them both together, they both tip their head and smile at the same time. They're wearing the same outfits, their hair's all done exactly the same, and it's almost like the closer they get together, the more they mimic each other, and it seems you're not sure if it's on purpose or by accident. But
Are they like a younger version of Azula's caretakers from Last Airbender?
God.
I still haven't seen Last
Oh.
Airbender, so I
Does
don't
anybody get the
know.
reference? Is
Yeah, I
anybody
do,
else
I
seeing
do.
that right now?
Yeah.
I don't know what
I know what you mean.
It's all creepy and mystifying. And
Yeah.
I mean, I swear I'm catching up on it soon. But they both stand there and they smile, and it's good to see you again, both of you. We're so
Wonderful.
pleased you could have come.
Of course.
Good to see you.
And it looks like your friends are enjoying the party as they watch Blue, and you can see Blue and Carlisle walk across the dance floor.
Well, I think this is Blue's natural habitat, so
It does rather suit her, doesn't it? As she sort of, as they look around themselves. Would we be permitted to chat with you all in our? They sort of, their eyes dart about the room for a moment. More private.
That's why I rescued away from those fine folk you were speaking to over there.
Yes, I appreciate that. It's
How do you
and
tolerate these wretched people sometimes?
and there's a very slow pause and that movement of in the shoulders and the movement of like the smile. It's like, I'm sure they're delightful to the right people.
That's a great answer. All right. Shall we, do we need to get everybody else?
Would you like them?
I think it would be best, don't
I
you,
think it'd be
Dubbo?
better. Blue Spurs!
Blue, you will hear this. Spurs, you can't see Dara, but you can definitely hear him. You're sort of looking down. They're kind of underneath the balcony sort of section that you are in. What do you do for Spurs, first of all, as you hear that yell?
He has been sort of eyeing the whole situation, and hearing the shout, he like leans back, shrugs his shoulders, sort of gives a stretch, and like rolls his eyes. Would you excuse me? My associate is. I know I'm not the greatest conversationalist, but my associate is perhaps gruffer than I sometimes. I need to.
Do you need to go?
I don't mean to be impolite.
No, it's
I
not
don't see
impolite
them, right? I don't
at
see him
all.
talking to a female.
Yeah, no, you can't see.
No.
You're
Yeah,
underneath
that's
the
good.
thing.
That's good. That's a good thing. Right? That's really good right now.
And she's like, "Oh no, that's fine. I'm, I need some." Again, she looks around up here. There's no one actually. I need some downtime.
You'll be able to get plenty of that up here.
Yes. Well, it was nice meeting you. And she gives that awkward sort of, not sure if it's a curtsy or a bow again.
I only wish that we could have had a deeper conversation under perhaps less tense circumstances.
Yes. Very tense circumstances as she looks around again.
Well, don't let me stop you from. And he turns around and walks before finishing the sentence.
Yeah, and she's just, again, you don't see it, but again, she does that awkward sort of half wave and puts her hand down. But very happily turns back and looks over the balcony as you walk down the stairs and you can head towards Davo and Rajani. Blue, you've heard your name yelled. This is probably a normal for you when Davo is trying to get your attention.
I'll give Carlisle like a gentle eye roll. Well, unfortunately, the pleasure of your company is going to have to be cut a little bit short, but I do hope I'll see you again. And I have little, basically like 13th floor like business cards, so like with my name and a little like where you can find our casino. So I'll pull one out and I'll kiss the other side, so I'm leaving like a red lipstick print, and I will slip it into his pocket.
He watches you do it. He doesn't
Do I
move
see
at all.
this?
Not in the crowd. You don't. This is
Okay, all right.
But you see, like he watches you do it and gives you a smile, and then pats his pocket. I'll be sure to stop by.
By the way, fabulous cologne. And then I'll leave and seek out my workplace proximity associate, Dabo.
Yeah. You can see there's like a small clearing around the where the food is. You can see the dimmer sisters. Some people look like they're trying to talk to them, but with Rajani and Dabo right next to them, people aren't approaching. And Spurs, you can also make your way towards the group as well. And again, the dimmer sisters both give you almost in complete sync that nod and that smile, that welcome. And they look to you and say, where is that delightful Odessa of yours? Could she not make it?
She is somewhat preoccupied. She may arrive later.
Okay, I will make sure that she may join us at a time. Otherwise, I was speaking with Dabo and Rajani here. If you would all follow me, us, to our private
Yes,
quarters.
please.
And they smile and they start to...
Where's Wainwright at this point?
You can see Thomas is by the food. He's got a plate and he's just like moving along the table.
Can I get his attention somehow without being like?
Oh yeah, he's not far away. He's not far away from you. He looks so awkward, like shifty. You can see someone trying to get something on their plate, and he sort of pushes in front of them, and takes it. And he looks at you. Like, what?
Manners.
I've got manners.
Yeah.
As he puts like a fruit in his mouth.
Yeah. We're gonna go have a private conversation. I don't know. Make friends. I don't know. I need to turn around and walk away.
And then he looks at the woman next to him, who's currently scowling at him as he's pushed her out of the way.
As Dabo was doing that, Rajani just kind of quietly reaches behind her and grabs just a handful of whatever the closest food is and just stuffs it somewhere underneath her cloak for later.
You get a load of breadsticks. That happens.
She's eat well tonight.
Actually, that's I will. Actually, no, never mind. I'll do it later. We should get takeout for Odessa. We should like bring home a slice of cake.
Yeah, she'd really appreciate it.
Speaking of Odessa, that's where we're going to hop over. And Odessa, you ache a little bit, but you feel like you have slept for an age. You wake up more to the squawking and scrabbling of this bat that is maybe getting a little bit irritable, clambering over the ceiling. You hear a crash as it knocks one of the glasses over on the bar. But otherwise you do come round and you are on this table. There is a rolled up blanket underneath your head as a cushion, and you do have a blanket over you. You look fairly well tucked in. There's love here.
Oh, okay. Draco, darling, please. I'm fine. Everything's okay. Do you need to go out?
And there's that moment you hear that skitter across the floor as he scrabbles over as you wake up and sort of half sits on you and then goes to claw towards the door. You've never really locked him in at all, so this is probably the longest he's been inside.
Yeah, I think there's a few moments where I'm trying to ignore it because I still want to keep sleeping. But yeah, he needs to go outside. I give him a little scratch on his head and let him go out and start putting everything back to normal within the bar and the lounge that he's probably knocked over. And I'll look to see if there's like a note anywhere around a message left behind about where everyone went.
Yeah, you realize after a while, like, not even Thomas is here. Like, Thomas is gone. You can see where he's been, Like you can see like some of the drinks that haven't been cleared up or anything like that, but you do find a note. I believe it was put on the door, so it's almost as you let out Draco, you close the door again and see it scribbled on paper about headed to the Dimmer Sisters party. And you can sort of suddenly realize the time. It is evening. As you let Draco out, you get that sort of that breeze come through the door. It's starting to get I say it's starting to get dark. It's always dark. It's starting to get much darker, like the nighttime sets in. You can hear the clock tower chime.
Did any of the supply actually ever end up getting moved? Because that was the original goal, was to at least relocate our blood, our ghoul blood.
Where would you have relocated it to? I believe you did do it before.
I was gonna take it back to I was gonna use a cart to try and relocate it to where I tend to sneak off to when I'm not at the casino. So that's, I guess, either I managed to do it or I'm gonna try and do that first before I head over to the Dimmer Sisters.
You can do that first. You're very aware that probably not all the stash has been moved, and especially with you waking up on a table after what happened down in the catacombs, you probably want to move stuff now.
Yeah. Just kind of uttering to myself, okay, well, I guess there's still a job to do here. Everyone decided to leave, but okay, all right. At least they left me with the bat inside. I mean, I can't blame them. They're not responsible for them. It's my job. Anyway, gotta get this done. And yeah, just uttering to herself.
Yeah, you can start to move, stock everything up in there, because you were putting them in wine bottles, I believe. You were using any sort of empty flask. Where are you taking all of this demon blood?
She has her own little nook in the Red Lamp district.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a sketch way to get there, because she does have a pretty fair knowledge of the sewer system in the Red Lamp district. It's kind of her way of getting around when she doesn't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I don't have a cart anymore, so it's going to be a long process of carrying, I must say, like 2 crates worth of wine bottles filled with the blood.
Yeah. Okay, so you use the sewer systems. It is as grimy as it usually is. Would you take Draco with you? Is Draco sort of there as well, or?
I think he's using his echolocation to keep track of me from above, and he knows ways to get down to me fast.
Okay, so you can definitely sort of splash through those sewers. The water's quite low in here at the moment, but you can definitely transfer as much as it probably takes you longer. You're not seen down here as you maneuver this stuff all the way through. Are you coming up through like a cellar door and just packing them somewhere? Or is there anyone else in this building, or is this literally just a space for you?
I'd say it's like a outhouse connected to another building. Yeah.
You can definitely store everything in there. You can also make sure it's all locked as you leave, and you can even set up wards like you would have done in the other place. And you set up all of the wards. I won't lie, you've been walking through a sewer. You don't smell great right now. So would you get changed before you go to the Dimmer Sisters, or?
Yeah, I definitely need to. Yes, I need to clean up before I head over. But I'll definitely take the time to swap into a fresh gray outfit.
Fresh gray. Yeah, you can, once all of the blood is moved, transferred, and secured, you can easily head back, sort yourself out. It's getting into like the mid-evening, now as this comes round. You know that the Dimmer Sisters are in the same district as you, so you can get a carriage, or it's not really that far a walk. What would Odessa do?
I'll take a carriage, but before I leave, I'm gonna whistle back to Draco and tell him to stay here around the outhouse and guard the door. Don't let anyone near it.
Yeah, you kind of watch him sort of scutter up underneath one of the rooftops so that he can see, but he almost completely disappears from view to anyone else. And you can hail a carriage, and these huge sort of like ram goats sort of come sidling up. And it seems to just be a standard carriage. This isn't one of the Dimmer Sisters' carriages. But the door is opened for you, and you can hop on. And it heads off down those cobbled streets towards the main gates of the Dimmer Sisters' manor. The door is open for you, and you can hear that music. You can see the lights coming out of the windows, the especially on like the front sort of you could call it garden. It's like a walled area. There's not really grass or anything here. People seem to be gathering in the courtyard. Some have drinks. You can see lanterns are lit. There's a lot of guards around here. They almost have a blue coat resemblance, but everything is red. And I will say you can see a man looking fairly well dressed, or at least he would be. He seems to be struggling a little bit with doing up like the parts of his top collar, also the jacket. You get the feeling maybe he doesn't wear this sort of thing a lot. He looks not scruffy, but his hair's a little bit all over the place. You suspect it was neat before he was there, but you see him sort of jogging up the path like, come on, this is not how it's supposed to work. How do you do these things? As he's looking at this almost bow tie-like thing as he's trying to knot it. It looks awful. He's wearing very nice clothes, but he doesn't look like he normally wears nice clothes. And he actually almost falls over as he's looking at his feet, trying to do this.
Do I recognize him at all? Or is it a stranger?
You don't recognize him. He looks to be maybe 22 years old. He's a younger man. He's not. He looks like he's stumbling about a bit. You again probably first party.
Okay. Boy, stop fussing with yourself. If you're trying not to stand out like a sore thumb, you're doing a poor job of it.
And he stands there like the top two buttons of his collar open as he's there with this bow tie. He's like, is it that obvious?
Yes, painfully so. Just tie that into a knot and you'll be fine.
What, like, and he's sort of, you know, he sort of looks to himself. He's like, yeah, I mean, you think I'd I'd be better at this, considering, yeah. And he just knots it round his neck like that.
Yeah, she'll like straighten it and be like, there you go, you're fine.
Okay, thank you. Just, you know, a little bit nervous. I'm here. I'm actually looking for my tutor. I'm like an apprentice type thing. He told me to be on here on time, and I'm not here on time. He also told me to dress smart, and he sort of gestures to himself.
Who's your tutor?
It is Professor James Carter, and I will say you will know of this name. It is a doctor. And because you know the Dimmer Sisters, he is a personal doctor for the Dimmer Sisters. He was very, very well renowned, and he also teaches medicine.
Well, if he gives you any trouble for being late, just let him know you were helping me and my bum leg out of my carriage.
I'm sorry, what was your name, miss?
Odessa Ward.
It is wonderful to meet you, miss. I'm Oliver Dawson. And again, he holds a hand out. You see him wipe it down his side just in case, because he seems to be a little, like he's perspirating a little bit as he's panicking, but he holds his hand out.
Do a very delicate
Yeah.
hand
He's
out.
like, oh, like, and he doesn't, he looks so much like he doesn't know what to do with it. He's like, thank you. Yeah, I should probably, I teach medicine, too. Well, no, I'm not teaching. I'm learning to become a teacher of medicine, like my. Anyway, I don't need to tell you this. I'm gonna go in. Would you do you need As he looks at your leg as you say it, goes, would you?
Yeah, might as well sell it, shall we?
Yeah, sell it. And he sort of stands upright and lets you take his arm and tries to walk in as confidently as possible. You can enter this party. You can see that Oliver looks around sort of awkwardly. Are you here with like friends or
I am meeting friends here. They had been invited, and I am catching up to the party now.
Right, yes. In fact, sorry, my cat just fell off the windowsill. In fact, there's my professor, and you can see this man with a very stern face, white silver hair, sort of slicked back, very sharp suit, look over to him, just shake his head, and he's like, oh, I better go. But thank you.
Of course. Keep your head up.
Yes.
You'll be a great teacher, as long as you remember, you have to command the room and the situation.
Command the room and the situation. And he re-straightens that bow tie again. Head up, walks, almost stumbles into one of the waiters sort of walking around, but heads over to his professor. And what are you doing now that you've entered this party?
I'm just gonna start doing a sweep, see if I recognize any of my companions or those who invited us.
Okay. You, in fact, hang on. Could you roll a study for me, please? Or a survey, either one. And it's controlled and standard. Okay. You sort of walk into the room and you look around. You sort of browse the people in here. You can't quite see anyone that you recognize faces from parties that have been here before. You don't see any of your companions. However, you sort of scan through the crowd and you can see a gentleman talking. It's just someone else, just a general conversation. And you feel that sort of, for a moment, like a headache. But it's like a split second. It's like that, ooh, like you sort of have to right yourself. And you recognize the face. You question yourself, probably first of all, sort of have to blink a few times as the face that came out of the catacomb wall and disappeared again.
Is this person's face in this room?
Yeah. You could just see him talking, chatting, doing normal things. Seems to be socializing in a group of people.
I'm gonna follow him. Keep like a 6 foot, 5 to 6 foot distance, and like my back to his back. Try and pay attention to what he's saying.
Yeah. You sort of maneuver around the group because he doesn't move anywhere. He seems to be maybe showing off a little bit to the group. And he's chatting and smiling. You can hear him laughing. You know a fake laugh when you hear it. Sort of taking a glass of champagne off of one of the trays as it walks past. Is that? Oh, and here is my sister. And he guides this very pale, lean, redhead woman to his side, both dressed very, very finely. And he smiles as Amelia, say hello to everyone. And she sort of gives an awkward dip again. And he sort of looks back at you, not at, like, sort of in your general direction. He looks like he's looking for some food or something like that. But is there anything else you'd like to do?
Yeah. I'm gonna walk up and introduce myself, being, hinting like, I already know you. Hello, pleased to make your acquaintance. My name is Odessa Ward. Have I seen you before?
And he turns and looks at you and smiles, holds a hand out. It's like, I don't believe we've met. I would remember a face such as this. I'm Carlisle Crowfield. It is a delight to meet you. And you get that waft of rose petals. Again, sort of enter your nose. It's very strong. But he gives you a smile. And for a moment, he sort of, not confused, looks at you as almost if he is trying to remember. But it sort of vanishes very quickly. And you can see a very handsome, proud man stood there. He's like, and what is it you are doing at this party?
I'm meeting some... Oh, I have friends here. I'm just a little late to the game. I was held up somewhere. But I never really forget a face, so I'm sure it'll come to me soon. I'd love to learn more about what you do.
And he smiles. Let me know when you do. And I work in, and again he gestures to himself, he gestures to his sister, I work in some of the finest garments. We dress the Dimmer sisters. My sister here, as he guides this much smaller woman to his side, sort of arm round her shoulder, this is the talent behind the business. Amelia, say hello to Odessa. And she sort of gives a bit of a smile, awkward bob. Doesn't really say anything.
Well, your talents must be impeccable if you're working for these powerful women. But, excuse me, I need to go find my friends. I'm sure we'll catch up in a moment.
Of course. And he sort of pauses as you turn to walk away. He's like, who are your friends?
I'm sure you're aware of the 13th floor.
Ah! And he puts his finger in his top pocket and pulls out what you recognize as Blue's business card. This one.
Mm-hmm.
They just headed that way with the Dimmer sisters.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'm sure I'll see you around sometime at the business.
I'm sure you will. And he nods.
If I haven't already.
Yeah. And he sort of chuckles at that and then turns his back to start. Sounds like someone else is trying to get his attention. You get the feeling he's quite popular, even though you might not really know why.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, you will see the backs of your friends disappearing through one of the doors that you've been through before. You know it leads to the Dimmer sisters' private quarters. And you can see them disappearing through that door there.
All right. Well, then I'm going to go to the room that he pointed to.
Okay. Who would be at the back of the group with the Dimmer Sisters? Would there be anyone, Yeah? Okay, Dabu,
I probably
you,
would because I would have just ushered, like I always do, usher everybody forward.
Yeah, okay. And you were talking to Thomas. Oh, yes.
And then make sure nobody was staring at us on the way into the
Yeah.
room.
Odessa, you can see Davo there, and Davo, you can probably see Odessa weaving through the crowd towards you.
I will be like...
Oh, now you're quiet.
This is looking at me. I don't need to yell at her to get her attention. Our eyes have met. Miss, give your business card to the enemy. I hope Dessa walks through and be like, I got a problem. Tiffany's the mole. Tiffany's the one who let this guy in. Blue did it. Blue did it all.
And Odessa, you are able to catch up with the group. The Dimmer Sisters, both almost in complete unison, turn their heads, look at you, nod. And they continue to lead the group. Yes, Odessa.
Oh, I just enter and I'm up. I apologize for my tardiness. Thank you for the invitation, and please proceed.
And both at the same time, they said, "Not at all. You are very welcome."
I'm gonna give like a little shriek when I see Odessa, like Odessa, and give her like a very lavish, weepy hug. You're alive.
Yes, I'm doing perfectly fine. Thank you for the blanket and the note.
Perfection attention to you while you were injured, such as a pillow and a blanket.
Yes, you could not ask for more.
Oh, sorry, we left you.
I mean, you had other priorities as well. I completely understand.
We left Draco with you. We knew he'd take care of you.
And not Mr. Wainwright. We took him with us, so that's got to be something.
Yeah.
You wake up and there's a guy at the bar just staring at you drinking. How are you?
I think I'd rather have a bat looking after me than Mr. Wainwright, to be honest.
He's not so bad. He's growing on me.
Was that in or out of character?
I was gonna
say, in character. Well, he saved Odessa's life earlier.
He did. That's true. That's true. He did. Yes. Okay. Yeah, he's all right, I suppose.
And you are led through. This door goes through a corridor, and this corridor is very lavish. The walls are painted a crimson. Sort of a wine-colored red. There are so many oil paintings on this wall. They're a little bit unnerving. You know they are the Dimmer Sisters' ancestors. Each one is a set of twins on the way down. And they are those sort of paintings that you feel like the eyes watch and move about the room. They've often joked that they've put an enchantment on them to do exactly that. But there is another door at the end, which Anastasia opens to guide you in. At first, you see this very small room with lots of velvet sofas and bookcases, lots of crystal decanters everywhere. There's a couple of people in here. Some I will say you recognize. They're members of the magistrates. They are people of much higher up in society. And both the Dimmer Sisters give them all a nod on the walk through. They try not to make eye contact with anyone. They seem to stay in their conversation. And then they go through the last door to a set of stone stairs. You've been down here before, and it's much cooler. As soon as you leave that room, you feel the temperature drop. You feel that stone, and there's a time where the party itself sort of starts to fade away, and there's a sort of a soft breeze coming from somewhere as you walk down these stone steps. As you walk past, these lamps seem to just light up on the walls. There's a drip of water from somewhere. But you head down this spiral staircase, quite thin, all the way down. And you end up in this stone room. Everything in it is white marble. The walls, the ceiling, and the two huge baths at the center. There's a table in between these two baths. They're not full. There's actually someone cleaning them currently. You do see some obvious specks of red in the contrast on this white marble. And they smile at you. They look to this young man who's cleaning the baths, and with a look, he grabs his mop and he runs, effectively. And they look to all of you. Please, sit if you will, or stand if you must. And you can see some chairs around the side with a small table. Again, there's drinks on it. You know that very few people come down here, but they stand both exactly the same, hands clasped at the front. We wanted to inquire after all of you. Are you missing shipments?
I have one drink in either hand, by the way. I'm seated. Grab.
Yeah, who sits and who stands?
Rajani would stay standing if they're standing.
Okay.
Davo sits.
Okay.
I'm
Standing.
standing because I just walked in.
It's just me. I sit down.
It's Blue and Davo.
Davo
I'm
as
sitting
well.
down.
Oh, okay.
Blue and Davo have sat down. The Dimmer sisters, as they stand there and they start the conversation, one of them does sit, but the other one stands behind the other one and one hand on the top of the chair. Any missed shipments?
We have a inventory problem, a theft problem, yes. We're missing inventory.
And she nods. You see the sisters exchange a look. Seems to be something in the air then.
Yes, the perpetrator, from what I could tell, appeared to be of a supernatural nature.
And so they look at each other. They look around the room briefly. And I will say, Rajani, could you make an attune check for me?
Ooh, okay.
Standard and everything.
Controlled, yeah, as well?
Yes, please.
Cool.
Okay.
Not great.
What I will say on that is that you've been down here before. It's a familiar sense to you. You have the feeling of this room is like thick air to you. Like there's a lot of spirits here. They're not necessarily watching, they're not moving, they're just here.
Okay.
So that's it. And Anastasia sort of looks to all of you, pours herself a drink, offers it round. Am I right in thinking your stock of demon blood has been stolen? How many crates? And these are people who are like these are probably one of your biggest customers.
Yeah.
I think Odessa knows the number of the exact amount that was stolen. Or wait, I do. What I know the exact amount. I did the inventory. What was the exact amount?
You didn't have an exact, but you noticed things were sort of being taken out day by day rather than a heist, if you see what I mean.
It's been a slow, steady drainage on a day-to-day basis. There isn't like one smash and grab operation. It is basically some infiltration that is getting a little bit out that a quick glance will not notice it, but a full stock inventory does notice it.
Well, stock is going missing. Not for us. We have something which is, for us, maybe a little more concerning and a little more... And she tilts her smiling head, and you see the smile drop for a moment. It's like infuriating. Has been taken from us. Some of our collections, as it will.
What kind of collections?
Of the occult. Trinkets, items, particular objects. Small at first, and then we like to collect things, as you know, and as you're aware, you know of our reputation, and you know that people are not scared of the Dimmer Sisters, but very wary, being known to be witches that bathe in blood, that do all of these sorts of things. And they sort of look to all of you as like, certain things that could be used in certain elements, or perhaps functioning items have been taken. Dangerous functioning items. I'm not talking weapons.
Would Johnny perhaps have any inkling of what they might be referring to? Is it similar to the sort of equipment that she might use?
You would have, you wouldn't have necessarily had any yourself, but you know, being having the reputation they have, things for demonic summoning, and things like that. You also know they didn't usually... It's the rumor that, yes, they use it. That's how they get their blood. That's how, which obviously you know is a lie because you're the one who provides them with it.
Yeah.
And they sort of look towards you as the idea sort of goes over your face, and like, we don't do that sort of thing anymore, as you understand.
No, they're just collector's items, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like that someone has taken from us, and from what I hear on the streets, as it were, considering we never leave, there are spirit wells popping up.
We may have heard a similar rumor.
Can spirit wells be created? Like, could somebody be causing them to open?
There was an idea my sister and I had. We believed they were just anomalies at first, but there's too many anomalies for it to now not be a coincidence. One of our items has gone missing, and these wells are popping up everywhere.
So the thing that was stolen from you, presumably, you believe could be the thing someone is using to force the spirit wells to appear?
I believe so. I did not imagine it was to be used for that. Margareta here thought it was very pretty.
You heard, how many instances have you heard about these spirit wells popping up? Is there any sort of pattern to them? Location, or what happens around them when they appear? Anything?
And Anastasia, who sat down, sort of looks over at all of you. I don't have much information. Again, it's word of mouth. It's why I had a party here today. I like to listen in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go outside. I don't like the outside. Who does like the outside? As she sort of trails off a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what interest it is, But I know spirit wardens are dying. I know they're being murdered in the streets. I know the bluecoats are very conveniently not finding them. Or finding a culprit. It's a bit convenient, don't you think?
Very convenient.
It is. And the room we just passed through, they, as much as the magistrates are fairly intelligent people, they're not in there for chit-chat. They're in there because they know spirit wardens, they know bluecoats, and I want to know what's going on.
What have you learned from them?
I don't know yet. To be honest, what they seem to be on edge as much as anyone else. But these things are popping up. And for the moment, in discreet places. But how long will that last? If you're bold enough to open up these wells, then how long does it take until your ego gets too big and you judge them? And again, sure, the term broad daylight.
In your experience, how would one close a spirit well if they found one?
I don't know, I've never opened one.
Mhm. I was hoping with your experience you may have encountered such things before.
As I said, it's been a long time, and even my sister and I are not stupid enough to open a spirit well. When you open a spirit well, you don't have control over it.
No, I wasn't implying that. I just meant you've been practicing a while, so I hoped you might have heard something.
Do you have like a book on spirit wells you could lend us, or do you know anyone who would know about them? Maybe somebody less wise than yourselves?
And one of them raises their eyebrow and smiles at you. You know that they notice either you're pandering or something, but at the same time they enjoy it, so they're very aware of what it is. I could search our libraries, and I could send something to you if I find anything.
That would be amazing.
Help.
I think that would be amazing. Someone stealing from you, someone stealing from us. Sounds like they could be the same person. We should work together. Do you guys have any clues? Like who? I mean, I'm like 2 drinks in. I reached my 3rd and 4th. I mean, did they leave footprints? I don't know. One of you guys.
Perhaps if we felt comfortable enough sharing how or what they got in, we can identify some common symptoms to the invasions and the thefts.
Yeah, perhaps if you'd allow me to look at the area where the item was stolen from you, or if I assume you have had your own investigation and probably know what sort of energies are there.
I have, but fresh eyes would be wonderful, in a matter of speaking.
Well, it would be interesting to see if I get the same result. She looks at everyone else.
Anastasia will show you. And Anastasia herself stands up and looks to Rajani. Follow me.
Of course.
And she leads you off. You see, does anyone follow Rajani? Or I will say Margaretti stays here, so and she takes the seat.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay, so the 2 of you follow Anastasia, and she leads you off to the left. It's a very small door that leads down another stone corridor and to another slightly smaller door, one you actually have to duck under. It looks like it's been here a very long time, probably before this building was even built. And as she opens the door, you enter this very small room, purely lit by candles. The wax is sort of, running all the way down the walls. It's that they look like the every time a candle fully melts, another one is just stuck on top. This doesn't look like it's been cleaned of all the wax. This wax looks like it's been here for years. Some of it started to yellow, some of it is red, some of it is white. Sort of this pink mix as it sort of runs down each other. And there's this stone, almost like platform all the way around, just full of trinkets of the occult. And also some other things in here that don't look like the occult. You can see some paintings, and some bits of jewelry and things like that look like they're very, very precious. But she holds the door open to both of you as she stands in the room.
I'll go in first.
Perhaps, Odessa, I know you are good with wards. As you understand, I do not trust the person who set mine now. If you would be so kind before you leave to set some of your own.
Oh, sure. I'll take a look.
Okay. Rajani, what are you doing? What does it look like? Are you reaching out? Or?
She basically go through the same motions she did in their own supply room.
Mm-hmm.
So she would take out her put on her golden spirit mask and sort of trace these wisps of energy through the air and try to see if she gets the same sense of residual energy that she did before.
Okay. You reach out, and could you roll an attune for me, please?
Mm-hmm. Is this still controlled, or
is risky?
Okay.
But standard effect.
Okay. Hey.
You reach out, and again, that sort of stuffiness of the lots of spirits in the room kind of feeling is there. But it's almost as if with your eyes closed with this mask on, you watch a figure walk into the room. This is almost like an imprint, like a memory of something as you see it. And it's a very small individual. Maybe, again, sort of the same sort of size as the person who was mopping the baths, not necessarily that person, but it's that sort of looks to be younger, maybe 19, 18 years old. And they look troubled. You notice the shadow, this hands, they're shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment of where you hear voices coming from this person, from their lips. But you can hear multiple voices coming almost as if it's from the back of their neck. And you would know that's almost like for you, it's like a spirit or something has attached itself.
Like a possession, or?
Not quite a possession. It's almost like a puppeteering. This person seems to be fully in control of their body. But the thing that you notice is normally it only has one voice, one spirit. This person seems to have multiple attached to their back.
Okay.
And they seem to take something. Again, this is almost like a hazy fog. It's like you're looking at dark cloud and shadow, almost like a fog. So you can't see exact items, you can't see very specific things, but one of them you see is big enough for this person to pick up and hold in their hand. It's a decent size. It's nothing tiny, it's nothing huge, it's just a handheld thing. And you can hear not necessarily specific words, but the panic in this person's voice. This person doesn't seem to be lording over this. They don't seem to be very confident about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they turn and sort of run out of the room. They run through you, through your mask. You can feel it as that memory passes through you out past the door. As you turn and look, you can see them run through the dimmer sister, who again frowns for a moment as if she felt it, but she doesn't do a lot of expression.
Mm.
And then it's gone.
Which of the sisters was it that came with us again?
Anastasia.
Anastasia, I assume either you or your sister also attuned to this place. What did you see?
To an effect, we saw. Well, we're not so much of a seer, such as yourself. More a crowd of voices, which, as you can imagine, is very distracting and headache-inducing.
Yes. Well, I just saw a figure quite small and not confident in their actions at all, appearing to have been not so much possessed, but with multiple, perhaps, spirits attached to their physical self, perhaps forcing them, I don't know, but they seemed to be in quite a panic. When I saw that figure pick up an item and run out of the room frantically.
That would explain the many voices. As she sort of, she doesn't seem to, she's half talking to you, half processing. Right, well, as I said, thank you for your aid in this. As you know, I am very limited on who I trust right now. Thus, we haven't had any of our own seers in here because, as my sister believes, and I heartily agree, it's going to be an inside job. A lot of people come into this house. We are very, very strict, and this is the first time ever we have had something stolen from us.
I can understand it must be distressing.
Annoying, frustrating, infuriating, yes. And the blue coats don't do anything about it, so it's a matter of our own hands.
Yes. Well, I'm flattered that you trust myself and my associates with this. I hope that we can solve both our problems.
I hope so too. As she looks around the room sort of wonderingly. I don't like it when people touch my things.
Yes, the feeling's mutual.
She nods. Please. And she gestures for both of you to leave the room.
Was Odessa going to look at the wards at all, or?
The wards, Odessa, you could see there's none here. It's like whatever's happened to them, they've been burnt out as if like a slate has been wiped clean.
Do they know that?
Yeah, you can tell that they know. That's why they sort of asked for you to set up just some new ones. You have a feeling because of what happened to you, if someone really wanted to get in, they get in, but it's better than nothing kind of thing.
I mean, I'll say, you know, I don't know what Rajani is, or unless you just said it out loud, but whether if it was a physical presence or a spiritual presence, I'll do what I can to deter the physical ones, but our issue didn't seem to be stopped by the wards I had set in our own storage. So
interesting.
I'll start working on some right now, and I'll get some stuff set up around their things.
Is there anything like with Odessa's talents combined with mine where we could create a ward that would also work for spiritual like invaders in the same way physical, like her normal wards would like protect against physical like person invaders?
I would say roll a study and also an attune, just to see if you could figure something out from what you learned from the ones that broke yours.
Okay.
And what the ones here.
Are both of those risky?
No, sorry, these are standard.
Okay. Oh. And the attune. Okay. A 6 and a 5.
Let's have a look. Was Odessa rolling that as well? If I missed that? Or...
Oh, sorry,
Oh.
those are both me. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I assumed Rajani was doing
Yeah,
both.
no, that's fine. You sort of you look at all of this and you would have taken in all the information, all of the things that effectively broke your wards beforehand. I will say on that attune, you can certainly try, but you know that you can set something up with different parallels, with different, it's almost like when you try and crack a safe, you change the number. It's more that than anything else.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll suggest this idea to Anastasia and Odessa, if Odessa is happy for me to sort of tamper with her wards in a way, and if Anastasia is happy for me to do magic stuff in her house, but I'm sure she is.
Okay. And together you can set these wards. You can set one on the walls and you can set one on the door.
Yeah.
As Anastasia takes out the big old keys and locks it again, and you can place that last ward over the door.
I want to ask Anastasia too before we head back in, if she knows anything more about their dressmaker and their business.
And yes, she's a delightful young lady. Amelia, I believe her name is. I think it is. A very quiet little thing. Very talented. As she sort of like looks down at her dress.
Well, I've just been interested in expanding my own closet a little bit, but I have a hard time trusting new businesses I haven't worked with before. So if you had any positive or negative things to say about how I assume her brother runs the books behind everything.
Mostly, yes. I sort of, she comes to me with the design, shows me what I like, the different materials, I order it, and my friend sort of deals with the money side of it for me on those things. Running multiple businesses tend to be quite awkward with that.
Right. Okay.
I can give her your information if you would like.
Sure, yeah. I'll take it.
Of course. Okay. Please. This way. And she leads you back down that corridor. And I think that is where we will take our break for now. So everyone go get some refreshments, go stretch your legs, tell your pets you love them, and we will see you in a moment. Bye. Oh, hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for that anonymous donation that we completely missed. So I'm so sorry, but thank you so much. Otherwise, we are back in the baths sort of room with Margaretti, Odessa, and Spurs. Dabo there was rumor of something, almost like an alert from the 13th floor, which he said he'd go check out because I'm sure it's absolutely fine and there's nothing wrong. But Spurs and Odessa, Margaretti is probably the less chatty of the sisters, and she's just staring awkwardly across the table at both of you. She's, are you enjoying the party?
Absolutely. You and your sister throw the best events. These drinks are delicious. I'm just looking back and forth between her and Spurs and realizing that if I don't talk, no one is going to talk while we're in here. And so I'll take another sip of the drink and ask, so these magistrates, how did you get to know them? It's quite an impressive feat, assembling a room full of magistrates in a party like this.
And she looks over at you. It's like, when you're as old as I am, you just get to know a lot of people.
As old as, my goodness, you don't look a day over 21.
Oh no, I am aware of that.
You must share your skincare secrets with me.
And she sort of smiles and then looks towards the baths and back again.
Spurs kicks at Blue under the table, like gently.
Fascinating.
And coughs.
Well, in your wide network of acquaintances, I know you mentioned something strange is going on with spirit wardens. Are there any at this party?
She sort of mooches. We did invite one, but he didn't show up.
Who?
I can't disclose his name, especially if he didn't show up.
Fair. I guess they're a very antisocial bunch.
They are not the fondest of us, as you understand, but one or two like to look past it and realize we are actually very kind, genuine people.
Okay, well, on to more interesting topics. Tell me about all the eligible bachelors here.
Well,
who's single? Who's cute? Well, let's start at the top of the list and work our way down. Who's got a huge fortune and no hobbies?
Well, I saw you talking very, very cozily with, what's his name? Carlisle. Delightful chap. Carlisle Crowfields. Bit of a yabberer, but if you can look past that.
Are they terribly well off? I didn't get that impression.
They have enough.
Hmm.
It's a growing fortune.
Right. The garment industry, I think he mentioned.
Yes, and he smells delightful.
Have you been buying
Very
garment?
Floral.
Floral, yes. Roses in particular he seems to like. Don't know why.
Have you been buying garments from them long, or is this a new transaction?
We've been buying from the family for a very long time. It's the first time I've really met Carlisle and his delightful younger sister. This is only the third time of me meeting him personally, the sixth time, maybe seventh of meeting her. I'm very insistent on seeing the people who design my clothes. If I don't like a person, I don't want their wares.
You've got an incredible memory for acquaintances. That's very impressive.
She tips her head to look at you.
What number time meeting us is this?
You don't remember our party?
I guess Blue would remember. No, of course I do. It's the 11th.
It's like, I would have thought we would have been more memorable than that. And she sort of smirks.
Blame it on how strong your drinks are.
This is her equivalent of a joke. This is kind of as far as it goes with her.
Well, blame it on how strong your drinks are. These bartenders are really mixing with a heavy hand. Well, I guess that's a key to a good party.
And again, they smile. More drinks means more loose tongues.
What about you, Marguerite? Who do you have your eye on? I've never seen you with a bow.
It's because I don't want one. I don't need one.
Well, I can't imagine having any need for one, but they're fun to have around, aren't they?
She sort of like grimaces a little bit. I mean, they can be fun for a little while, but then they tend to just get in the way. What do you think?
Absolutely.
And she smiles at Spurs. There's
Something
almost like that nod of
not having any other obligations weighing you down.
Or any vulnerabilities.
That too.
Oh my god, you two are no fun. We are not at war. An obligation here and there is not so bad.
Speaking of obligations, there is the matter of our defenses, which you've been so kind as to provide us with, which unfortunately seem to have been bypassed quite handily by whoever's taking from our stock.
And upsettingly, yes. What can I do for you? As I said, you are a, if not top client. Vice versa.
Well, considering that you've helped us set these up in the first place, we thought, well, I thought, I don't know what Blue thinks. But
what? What?
But I thought, for one, that if you're the ones that helped us set these things up, we were told this was the best of the best.
It is. And I have, as you can imagine, my usual trusted, close team are all gone now. I will come and set towards myself, as my sister will. And as you know, we don't leave the house. But this is a very important matter. I do not intend to be on the streets.
Well, we're hugely flattered.
I'll get in a carriage and get off the other side, and then I will return to my home, and we will never speak of it again. And you see her physically, like, shudder at the idea of leaving her house. But in times such as this, you say we are not at war, but we are.
With who?
And she leans into you, Blue, and takes one of your hands. Everyone.
Oh, the chills like run out my spine. What a way to live. But we're very flattered that you'd come put up wards yourself. That would be very helpful.
It's necessary for survival.
And we appreciate the dedication to our mutual aid. We certainly wouldn't want to cut you off from your supply. And this whole situation is an unfortunate emergent problem, which we're hoping to cut off at the head as soon as possible. Whether that's by blocking up that well somehow, or finding who's creating these things.
And she nods. We will help you in any way we can, and I hope to, and she looks at Spurs in particular, if any of our missing items should cross your path in the night market district, be sure to either let us know personally. I don't want any messages back and forth. And she sort of indicates, you get the feeling she's her and her sister just trust no one right now. No one in their house, no one in their establishment. So if you see them anywhere, you will notify us.
Can we get a more detailed description of them so we know how to keep an eye out? Did you mention it's jewelry?
No. I will gather one of our record books for you. It'll give you a detailed information and very fine sketches that my sister does.
Huh.
I will pick it up for you on the way out.
Well, if anyone's foolish to try and fence any of your goods, I'm sure that they will very quickly learn not to do that again.
I absolutely agree.
Speaking of mutual aid, as Spurs said, I somehow doubt that retrieving your items will be as simple a matter as finding some foolish fence in the night market, hawking them out of a stall. I think we're going to have to do quite a bit of investigation and digging, since us pursuing our thief is really the same thing as helping you pursue your thief. Is there any assistance you could lend us in this endeavor while we work to catch this person or people? Do you have any staff you still trust who could help us with it, or artifacts that might be helpful that we could borrow?
She pauses for a moment. Her eyes glance down to the side as if she's thinking. And looks back up again. If there is... And she smiles and looks up as if she was looking at the ceiling. I'm sure I can have one of the magistrates distract the Bluecoats from your establishment. Otherwise, I will have to get back to you on someone who I trust, because right now I don't. But as soon as I do, you will know.
Distracting the Bluecoats is plenty of help. Thank you so much. We may have caused a minor commotion today. Shooting a look at Spurs.
So I did hear, I did not understand that was you, but I had an inkling.
Blue, if you're trying to imply anything, I'm sure that we would be... we're all happier that a giant bone devil is not chasing us anymore through the sewers.
Oh yeah, Marguerite, we didn't mention that giant bone devil. It's been such an eventful day. Taking another deep drink.
This would explain a lot. So she sort of it's almost like she drifts off a moment thinking about the events that happened and nods. It's I do have one person that I will pass messages to. I believe you've already met them. Small girl. She delivered your invite. She's fairly trustworthy because no one looks at a small street urchin. Whereas give someone power and immediately people seem interested.
Insightful observation. Yes, well, we'll keep a lookout for her if for any other messages from you. A little bit of distraction of the Bluecoats would be invaluable.
Consider it done. And
anything else we needed to discuss, Spurs?
I don't believe so, unless you had any questions. As she looks at both of you. And at this point, Odessa and Rajani, you sort of come round the corner of Anastasia just behind you as she's locked the doors. She gives her sister a look, is sorted. And Margareta nods. As she stands from her chair. Shall we all return to the party?
Oh, thank God. Yes.
If we must.
I know how much you hate these sort of things, Spurs, but I do appreciate that you are here.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
And she nods. in an understanding smile, and as they open the door, that younger younger boy comes running back in with the mop, starts to clean again, and they lead you back upstairs into this ballroom, up to where the party is going on, with everything sort of that lots of communal chatter. You can see some people sort of almost look like they have a sigh of relief as they see the Dimmer Sisters re-emerge back into the room, and immediately they are almost flooded with people asking how they are, what, you know, all the usual chitter chatter. But otherwise, what are you all doing?
As the sisters are now being flooded with their guests, I'm going to use that opportunity of distraction to pull everyone aside and finally have a moment to catch up and let everyone know, hey, I moved the supply, so at least it's out of the casino, and this is what happened in the tunnel. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, it could have just been fear playing tricks on me, but I highly doubt that. I saw someone in the tunnels. Wasn't really there, and I think he's here.
Didn't happen to have a distinctive smell.
Why, yes, he did. Scent of rose petals.
Rose petals.
Which is also on that fellow right over there. If I could see, what's his name?
Carlisle.
I'm pointing at
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
Well, lightning doesn't strike the same place 3 times.
That's very
I meet one eligible bachelor one night, and of course, he's a dead ghost wall summoning.
There'll be plenty
Dating
more
in
bachelors.
Doskvol is impossible.
There'll be plenty more bachelors, don't worry.
Odessa's like, tell me about it quietly over you.
So there are number one suspects then. Or I guess he's our number one suspect. She doesn't really seem to know what's going on.
Well, if you hit it off with him, maybe we could use that to our advantage and use some more information from him.
Oh my god, this is so thrilling. This is just like the Penny Dreadfuls that I read. I can be
You're
a
excited about
spy.
being bait.
Well, that's a very unpleasant term for it. Well, wait. Hold on, Rajani, I have a question then. Is there anything weird about the Dimmer Sisters' dresses? It just occurs to me, they're dressmakers. The Dimmer Sisters didn't used to deal with Carlisle, now they are, and suddenly they're robbed. Do you see anything weird on their clothes?
Did I? Because you said that obviously Rajani had been there before, so she sensed a bunch of things that she already knew were there, but was there anything else on top of that, and anything about the sisters in particular?
On the sisters in particular, no, they seem to be pretty much their normal selves. I mean, you picked up that they were pissed off. But I think everyone did in general, so no, I think it was all very, like, down there it was very, very normal. It felt exactly the same as you've been there before.
Okay.
Apart from
everything in the room that me and Odessa went to. No, I don't think it was anything to do with that, as far as I can tell. But
Did the figure that you saw, Rajani, did it look like his sister? Like, is she small enough?
what? Sorry, you cut out a bit for me.
Oh, the figure that you. I assume you told. Did you tell us about that?
Yeah, I would have recounted that.
Yeah. Did it look like his sister? Maybe. Is she small enough?
Did you describe it as male, Alice, or?
it seemed to be male more than anything.
Oh, okay.
In size.
No, I'm fairly sure it was a man, a small man, but
Okay.
male.
Small
from what I could
man.
tell.
That's gonna be hard to track down.
It was quite distinctively
Small male.
distressed and frantic. I don't know if that's how this person always behaves, but that's what I saw, and it's the only thing I've seen of him.
Okay, so far we've got small distressed male somewhere in Doskvol, voices coming out of the back of his neck.
Yes.
The mastermind of the operation seems to be Carlisle Crowfield, who, let me get this straight. He climbs walls like a spider,
Yes.
murdered a spirit warden, and then quickly went to Brightstone, popped his face out of some stones, and maybe had something to do with summoning a bone demon. Busy fellow.
Very busy. Unless someone's perhaps using his form. Multiple someone's using his form.
God, it's like every day.
We didn't actually see the face of the person in the alleyway, did we?
It's the smell that you remember.
It's the smell only.
It's the smell
so
that you
maybe...
and Spares remember more than anything.
So yeah, we didn't actually see that person's face. So perhaps there's a group of people working together who for some reason all smell like roses. They all share the same
smell
perfume.
delightful.
They just really like this one person and they all shared it.
Have any of us ever heard of anything arcane involving roses? Is there some kind of spell or?
Yeah. Could it be like an ingredient or a...
Not involving roses or anything. This is a particular perfume more than anything. Okay. I will say it's a strong perfume. It's not like a...
Are there any perfumeries in the city that we know
of? There is a small one. There is a small one, again, in this district. Again, it's very unique. It's almost like a cubbyhole of a shop. It's not a big establishment. It's run by a gentleman. Probably don't know his name at the moment, but it's you know where it is in this district.
What district is it?
You are in the. Hang on, sorry. This is my
it's in this district.
This one, yeah, the one you're in. The one that the 13th.
Oh, Brightstone.
Brightstone, that's it. I keep wanting to say Brimstone, and that's just foreboding.
No, this is
just because of the vibes.
I didn't get a whiff of roses from his sister, right? When I briefly talked to her. Okay.
Well, that'll be a good place to visit tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe we can inquire.
Yeah. I guess for now, so that's all we have to go on. He's a lead. There's some kind of small man. And we should all keep our ears out for any information on spirit wells.
Yes. While we're here, would you want to go and speak to him again, or any of us to go and speak to him again and perhaps ask some more questions, or is that putting us at too much risk at this point?
Might tip our hand a little early.
If you want to talk to anyone, I'd recommend talking to his sister. She seemed a little jumpy. And,
I think she likes Spurs. Spurs, go talk to Amelia.
I don't think she likes much of anybody.
Well, maybe she dislikes you the least. Oh, bring her a drink. And I'm going to grab like a flute of champagne off a passing waiter and like thrust it at Spurs. Bring her a drink, like a gentleman.
That's...
Then ask her where her brother has his perfume.
Yeah, just work it into conversation. You'll be fine.
That's about as subtle as a brick through a glass window.
I am joking, Spurs.
You might be, but I know Blue isn't.
That's a fair point.
I have faith. I have faith in you. You'll get some information of some kind or another. And absolutely worst case, she's a lovely young lady.
If anything, you could learn possibly other people that they do business with beyond the Dimmer sisters.
She's got a good point.
Yes, okay, go Spurs. 1, flirt. 2, learn about their other business contacts. 3, if possible, ask her where her brother buys his perfume in the natural course of conversation. I'm sure you're up to the task.
Maybe you need to go with him.
Oh no, I have to go hit on her brother.
That's fair.
The
okay.
potential demonic murderer. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, Odessa, which of us should go with which of them?
I could go along with Spurs as some moral support and guidance. And Rajani, I think if there's anything you pick up spiritually off of the man, you should go with Blue.
Yes, I agree. As much as I would love to watch Spurs flirt with Amelia.
I will say you can, Spurs and Odessa, you can see Amelia has taken herself away from the group again, away from her brother. You feel like it's almost like when she is in a conversation with the group, it's because her brother is gone. This is my sister. You can see she's not out of like sight, but you can see she's sort of over by where the staircase goes up. She's slightly behind it, sort of looking at a painting. Not almost, you guess she's probably not really looking at it, but it means no one talks to her. So she's over there, and I will say Rajani and Blue, you can see Carlisle over the other side of the room talking to a group of people, maybe 3 other people.
Rajani, I can't. I'm so sad that we don't have a chance to watch those 3 people have a flirtatious conversation. It's going to be glorious.
This might be the most disappointed I've ever been in my life.
Do you recognize anyone that Carlisle's talking to? I guess, do either of us, out of character, do either of us recognize?
No, these look like just generally well dressed. They don't look like high level dress. You can guess they're probably merchants. They're probably they've got some form of money coming in, but it's no one of real standing.
In order to have a good excuse to talk to him, Rajani, here's my plan. I know a few well-to-do young ladies here who could be potential customers. So I'm gonna go. I think you should just go approach him and talk to him, because he hasn't met you yet, and he might take a liking to you. I'm going to go rustle up a customer for him, so he has a good reason to talk to us and feels a little bit indebted to us.
That's a very good idea. She kind of looks down at her clothes, which, as I described last time, she did technically change her clothes, but they are still, it's like her nice cloak, which only has a few hairs in it. She's kind of like, I mean, you could say that you're forcing me to buy, a dress.
Oh, yes. Perfect. Okay. It'll be so believable because, I mean, you look nice. Never mind.
Offended,
no reason. No reason. This is a very practical garment. All right. And then we'll walk up to Carlisle and in a non-awkward, very graceful way, kind of enter the circle of conversation, or attempt to anyway.
You can do that thing, you stand on the outside of the group, laugh at the joke, and gradually weave.
Yeah. So in real life, I'm disastrously bad at this, but I'd like to imagine Blue's very good at it.
Oh yeah, I feel that I'm awful. You could sort of work your way into this circle, and Carlisle, if anything, spots you first, Blue, and he gives you a smile. He's like, Blue, this is a friend of mine, Blue. Sort of indicates to these 3 other, 1 woman and 2 gentlemen, and they sort of give a nod. Like, it's a bit of a smile, but you feel like the fact that you've both arrived, that's interrupted the conversation they were trying to have with him, even though he's the one who's interrupted it. He's like, I will be just a moment, as he sort of turns his back on those 3 and looks to both of you. He's like, this is your friend?
Yes, this is my beautiful friend Rajani. And I was telling her that she absolutely must look into purchasing some of you and your sister's amazing designs. She's looking for a little bit of a aesthetic refresh.
Yeah. Blue tells me I'm in need of a stylistic upgrade.
And he sort of looks you up and down, as you saw him do with everyone. This doesn't seem specific to you, but he does. You can see a slight furrow in his brow when he sees what you're wearing and looks up and then smiles. It is a delight to meet you. And he holds his hand out.
You
and
too.
Again, you get that woof of like rose petals.
Okay. Do I sense anything beyond that, Arcane? And I will take his hand.
Roll an attune if you want.
I will. Is this risky or controlled?
This is risky.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh no!
What?
So sad.
You take his hand, and there's a moment where it's almost like those rose petals become overwhelming. Like, you know when like you walk past like
Bath and Body
Lush, and you walk past and it's just, it fills your nose. You can't smell anything else other than this. And his eyes lock with yours, and he smiles. And he holds your hand just for a little bit longer. You're a seer. You see things. Is that what I understand?
I don't know whether she should admit it or not. It's like, can I get away with lying about this?
Seeing Rajani's panic, I'm going to interject. Carlisle, you can't ask a lady such questions like that on your first meeting. You've hardly offered Blue a drink, or you've hardly offered Rajani a drink, and here you are interrogating her. What's next? Are you going to ask her her age? My goodness.
And he holds, he's still holding onto your hand, Rajani. And he's like, no, I meant by the mask around your neck.
Well, those are very in fashion these days. Many ladies are wearing them just for, you know, the look.
Yes, it's unique.
And he lets go of your hand and smiles, of course. And he takes 2 drinks off of a passing tray and hands them to both of you and smiles. He seems slightly less chatty now.
No, we fucked it up.
Yeah. Wait, Control Z. She is a seer. No, it's okay. I'll take the drink. Do you ask Carlisle because you have a particular interest in the supernatural?
I do find it intriguing, and we are surrounded by it. So, don't you think it is a normal topic of conversation? You are in the Dimmer sisters' home.
That's true, and they are absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
Enigmatic figures. How well do you know them?
A little. My sister knows them far better, as you can understand.
Right. How long have they been customers of yours?
Of my family, years.
Oh, did you just recently take over the family business?
Not too long ago.
They're absolutely fascinating. Obviously, it's impolite to gossip about one's hostesses. But how old do you think they are? My goodness. They look so young, and yet they know so much.
And he looks at you, he's like, I thought it was rude to discuss a lady's age.
Ah, shit. Well, I think that's just what happens when I cross from the 5th to the 6th drink of the evening, unfortunately. You'll have to excuse me.
Of course. And he sort of smiles. I think they are a delightful, intelligent, and wonderful set of hostesses and individuals. And I am just so very lucky to have them as my clients.
Have you been to many of their parties before? Would we have seen him at any of their parties?
Maybe or maybe not. If it was probably more a passing face in the crowd.
Yeah.
So you might have an inkling that you've seen him. He's like, I've only been to 1 or 2 before. So last time I didn't stay long. Business to attend to, see.
Yeah, must be busy.
And have you found many new clients tonight? Can we help you look?
He's like, a few. And he looks back at the group that you sort of walked into. I found a few. My sister doesn't seem too willing to socialize, but then it's not really her thing. So.
And do you all do, is it strictly ladies' gowns? Do you do menswear?
Of course not. And he sort of, again, gestures to what he's wearing. He's like, I mean, gowns is a speciality of my sister's, but we do provide other forms of clothing. Obviously, all of the highest quality.
Out of character, do I know anyone else at this party that I think would buy clothes from him?
You could probably get the feeling that most people would here. They have the money.
Is there anyone like I know already?
Is there anyone you know? Tell me.
Oh, I can just. Sorry, I'm like not. I'm so used to like D&D. I imagine Blue would know at least like a handful of people here, because they're all in sort of the arcane industry. Maybe there's like, I'm trying to think of what like a whale would be to somebody who, in his line of business. Can we say I know like a young, wealthy, like kind of like 19, 20-year-old guy? So somebody who would basically just be entering society, just starting to go to a lot of events, and would need to be outfitted with kind of a whole range of clothes.
Oh yeah, you can definitely. He's one of the most elaborate looking. Do you know what I mean by over top elaborate?
Yeah.
It's not subtle. If anything, it's kind of garish. You can spot him laughing far too loudly over by another group of people that seem to be around his sort of age. You can see him sort of laughing and chortling, and he sort of turns at that and he looks at you and gives you a little bit of a wave.
Do you want me to make up a name for him?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, I don't know. God, what is like a British Victorian name? Okay, we'll call him Phineas. And I imagine that Blue is very comfortable with overly enthusiastic, slightly awkward 19-year-old males. Well, Carlisle, in that case, I have a wonderful friend who's waving at us just now that you absolutely must meet. As you can see, he's got quite colorful tastes. He's so young. He's just starting to come to these events, but the good news is he's going to be needing a lot of clothes because he is filling up his social calendar, and he hasn't had the chance to purchase anything yet.
You see Carlisle sort of bend just past you to have a look at him. It's like, he does look as if he could use some direction.
Yes, gentle guidance. I found him extremely teachable. And I'm going to grab Rajani's hand and then his elbow and pull them towards my friend Phineas and his youthful crowd. Because
you drag him over there, and it's a group of sort of 2 other males and 2 females that are stood there laughing, and they sort of smile at your arrival. Spurs and Odessa, what are you doing as you how are you approaching Amelia?
Calmly.
I will grab 2 more flutes of champagne off of the waiters and give one to, I know you already have one, Spurs, but I'm like, offer this one to Amelia.
So I think they walk over. Spurs tries to play it off like he's gotten lost. So he's like walks in like looking confused. Where is the? Turns around, and sees Amelia and says, "Do you know where the? Oh, I'm sorry. We've met earlier."
Oh yes, yes we did. It's Amelia Crawford.
Right, Rashawn. We met.
Yeah, are you lost?
Yeah, I got turned around looking for the powder room.
I think that's upstairs.
Terrible directions. Can never get my way around these big sweeping mansions and things like that.
There's so many doors. I know exactly what you mean. And she sort of looks up and around, and then sort of sees Odessa. It's like, who's your friend? Hello.
One of my associates, Odessa. This is Amelia. She's...
Oh, your associates. I remember you saying, hello, and again an awkward sort of like bob, curtsy, hand out to you.
Yes. Hello, Amelia. We also briefly met earlier when I first arrived.
Yes.
Your brother told me you are a designer for the Dimmer Sisters.
I am. It's what I do. Yes. I'm not very good at the party side of things though, so I'm just here.
Neither are we, so you're among friends.
Maybe this will help loosen things up. We were walking by, one of the waiters just sort of pressed this into our hands, and, well, obviously there's only 2 of us. We don't need an extra drink. Perhaps you'd like an extra one.
Oh, thank you. And she sort of takes it, and she doesn't drink from it or anything straight away. She sort of holds it awkwardly. Every now and then you sort of see her sniff it, like, rather than actually drink it straight away or anything. But she's like, that's very kind of you, very thoughtful. Are you going to be, both of you going to be staying long?
We sort of got separated from the rest of our associates here. I think they're having too good of a time wheeling and dealing and generally schmoozing with everybody else. We might have to wrestle our way back across the dance floor to get to them, but I suppose we can weather the storm here for a few minutes.
I understand. I'm trying to make eye contact with Carlisle because I would. It sounds awful. I'd love to go home. It's getting late, right? And it's really not that late. It is evening, but it's not like midnight or anything like that. She's like, I'm just not very good at these sorts of things. I've got a lot of work to do in the morning. In fact, I've got to be back here first thing in the morning, so
Oh, really? I wasn't aware that the Dimmer Sisters had you on short notice retainer, effectively.
Well, through my brother, yes, even though it's more via one of their associates that talk to my brother, that then talk to me, though they want to talk to me about a more direct exchange, I guess, tomorrow, so it'll be nice.
Oh, well, I'm sure you'll do fine with that. You're clearly very accomplished, and they're lucky to have your expertise. Your brother really is a chatterbox. I'm sorry to hear that you're sort of at his beck and call.
Well, thank you, but he does do a lot. He's very good at the business side of things. The things I can't do. I'm very much the designer, the one who shows off what we can do. He's very good at mingling. I hate mingling. And then she sort of pauses, but this isn't mingling. This is chatting.
Oh, yeah, we're just having a conversation. Yeah.
Lost on the way, yes.
I imagine there isn't... I wouldn't sell yourself short. I'm sure there's a lot that you can do that you say that you can't.
There is. I'm not here. She sort of looks very exhausted for a moment. She's like, not here. It's... But... And she sort of looks over at the groups. Just... There's so many people here that... They're not wearing their real faces. Do you know what I mean? No one's really telling the truth here. It's all very fake. And again, Carlisle's very good at that, but... No, I'm not.
No. Never been good at putting on a face either. He sort of dusts the epaulettes on his uniform jacket. A long life of service sort of takes that away from you. You don't get a lot of chances to be flowery.
What did you do before now then?
It's not polite, I suppose, to speak of.
I'm sorry, yes. I probably shouldn't have.
The Unity War. Well.
Oh, I see. Well, then, thank you for your service.
Not a lot of people that would agree, but...
No, but either way, it's not like it's an easy thing to do.
That's true. It's a job. and you have to do what you have to do sometimes. But I imagine.
I agree. And she takes a sip from that champagne. You see her turn her face and sort of wince and then like pour it back into the glass.
It's not embarrassing to speak of. It's
That's fine.
just I wouldn't want to bring down the mood.
No bringing the mood down. No need to talk about it any further. It's absolutely fine. Odessa, so what is your role as a not friend business?
I carry out a few responsibilities at the casino, but mostly I make sure every guest feels welcome, is taken care of, and gets what they came for.
And what is it? Is the business fully? I don't know if I asked before. I can't remember. It's all a bit of a blur tonight.
Just a normal gambling house.
And she sort of looks to Spurs, who I think said entertainment earlier. So, oh, interesting. I've never done that before.
Well, I certainly recommend you come stop by. I actually requested earlier that one of the sisters give my information to you because I'm looking for some new threads myself, and hearing or getting to know you a little bit better just now, I admire other people who can recognize the facades so many people put up in places like these. So I think we would get along and do good business together. If, of course, your busy schedule allows it. You mentioned your brother has a lot of contacts, so if you can fit me in.
And she smiles quite brightly. It's like, yes. And she herself actually pulls a card out rather than and hands it over to you. It's like, I'm sure we can squeeze in somewhere. You know, like I said, it's my favorite thing to do. So,
Excellent.
I'm sure it's fine.
I also learned that you're not particularly new, but haven't been working with the sisters for too long. How exactly did you guys come in contact? Was it through your brother?
Actually through my father. He owned a business beforehand, and my mother was the main seamstress of that, and also my aunt. So that's kind of how it met, and it all sort of fell into place.
A family trade then?
Yes, of sorts. Family trade.
And how is your brother handling this change in power? How do you both feel?
And she sort of glances over in his direction. He's loving it. This side of it, at least. He's very much the face of the business, I feel, more than anything else. But I kind of like it that way. You know, I don't have to deal with... Well, I thought I wouldn't have to deal with this, and she sort of gestures, almost spilling the champagne out of the glass sort of to the room in general. It's like, but, you know, I'm still fairly new to it myself. I only really came and worked a few months back.
Well, you both seem to be handling yourselves pretty well, especially your brother.
Yes, everyone says that, so, yeah.
I imagine he has a lot of friends around this district.
Friends, yes. People he knows, more so.
So where does most of your business take place? Is it here? Is it sort of throughout Doskvol?
I mean, throughout, but obviously it's Brightstone. It's mainly around here. I was lucky enough to work. I can't remember her name now. One of the magistrates. She's a very, very delightful lady. But I got to fit her for some dresses about 2 weeks ago.
Where do you get your supply usually of fabrics?
I head down to the markets. You know, there's a great supplier. Otherwise, I dye them myself. You know,
Oh, wow.
sometimes you can't get a specific color. So as she starts to ramble on about her process on how to, you feel like you've hit a, I can talk about this kind of thing. And she talks about her process where she picks the things up and how she dyes a lot of it herself and the embroidery and things like that.
Cool. Yeah, well, let's try to figure out who else they work for, but...
She sort of rambles on about people in high up places like the magistrates. You get the feeling that when she says she works for a lot of people, it seems to be the courts, the people who tend to have a lot of, well, it's the people who have money. It's where the control goes. And a lot of high-standing houses in this area.
And are you usually the one taking care of these appointments, or is your brother arranging all of it as well and dealing with the business, like the transactions?
It was my brother, but I would like to start meeting with clients, so you know I can really get a better idea of what they would want. And, you know, because you want something that suits you rather than anything else. You don't want just something that everyone can wear.
No, of course not.
She smiles.
I look down at my gray blob of an outfit.
She's sort of looking at you, sort of goes to drink that water again, and then that champagne again. You see as she sort of turns and tries to spit it back out again. And Rajani and Blue, you in fact, no, sorry, before we head back over to Rajani and Blue, there's that awkward silence, that wonderful British awkward silence, when Anastasia walks over, is like, hello, turns to Odessa, and holds out a book. It's like, I believe Rajani and Blue were inquiring after this. And just sort of puts it in your hand, and it looks to be like a leather-bound book with a clasp, so it's not like easily opened. And she smiles, looks over towards Spurs, nods, looks to you again, Odessa, nods, looks to Amelia, bit of a smile. Is it, I'll see you tomorrow. And she just frantically, like, nods rather eagerly as she effectively glides away again.
I'll just like clutch it and hold on to it. And thank you. I'll see you around. And I'll go find Rajani and Blue to give it to them.
Okay.
As you're walking, Spur says, speaking of standing out, I've been meaning to ask, your brother Carlisle has such a distinct cologne. I was wondering if I feel like I just don't, there's just something missing from my aesthetic. You know, these people, they like these parties, you have to be all dolled up, you know, 6 gallons of makeup on your face and 6 more gallons of something else behind your ears. I just, if I'm going to be going out to a place like this, I just wonder, could you recommend wherever he gets?
Yes. I mean, he gets his and I get mine, and you can get a distinct waft of like lavender coming off of her. Is there's a delightful little perfume shop, you know, down in Brightstone District. I don't know if you know it. It's and she sort of gives you these directions to where you know, there's almost a line of shops that are jewelry, the very high level things that are sold there. You know, it's a very pricey area. But she's like, it's just where we both get it, or he gets someone to pick it up for. I don't really know. He picks it up for me. The lavender, I mean, it's not as overpowering as his. But there's a lovely gentleman that runs it. I don't quite remember his name, but he's. I think it's. She pauses from it. I know. I will get the details to you if that helps.
I'd appreciate it. I
Absolutely.
wouldn't be looking for anything quite as distinct as your brothers, but it is quite memorable.
It is
I-
very memorable. She sort of looks slightly awkward about it, but it's that. I will look it up for you.
I appreciate it. I would like to do what I can to clean up a bit.
You're fine, but yeah. I will get the information for you.
Let's appreciate it.
And she sort of puts the glass up by her face again as if she's trying to drink from it but doesn't. And Rajani and Blue, you've been introduced to these very enthusiastic teenagers, effectively. You get the feel that most of these are, this is their first party. Phineas gives you the biggest hug, Blue. It's probably not the most appropriate way to greet someone at one of these parties, but he doesn't seem to notice or care. And there's that moment of it sort of, they all sort of, Phineas is introducing Blue to every single person that is in this group, and Carlisle is waiting patiently at the side. But Carlisle turns to you, Rajani. He's like, what sort of clothing are you looking for? Or is Blue looking for you? As he sort of chuckles slightly.
Well, as you can probably tell, this sort of clothing isn't really my style. I tend to wear practical clothing, dark practical clothing, But
Practical
I think
doesn't mean not beautiful.
perhaps, I don't know. Rajani probably has something in mind for me. I don't know what sort of colors would go with my complexion and my bone structure and, all the things she knows about that I don't.
He looks you up and down as if he's trying to figure it out himself. He's like, my sister would probably be the better person to talk to about that. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet her yet.
Not yet, no.
And he sort of scans the crowd. He can see Odessa, or you can at least see Odessa walking towards you as well. And he stretches up again. There, talking to your friend over there.
Oh, yes.
And as you can see, Spurs talking, he sort of shifts slightly. And you see him talking to this Amelia. Long red hair. Looks exactly like the one stood by the docks
I feel like so.
that evening, looking up at the lightning towers. And she turns and looks towards you with a fairly blank expression, but smiles and waves as Carlisle beckons for her to come over. And I think that's where we'll leave it this week. Ready for
What a
next.
cliffhanger!
Oh my god! The second you specified again that she had red hair, I was like, wait a minute. No.
But yes, so we'll leave that until next week. Otherwise, everyone, please check out the links coming up in chat now. That includes the Discord. We have a channel specifically for this game. We'd love to hear what you think about it, with our party shenanigans that are going on right now. If you'd like to get in a game, like some of the viewer games, or we've got Humblewood just next, which is one of our viewer games drops, Scrat a DM on Twitter, and we will get you on the list. Also, if you've missed out on anything, you can head over to YouTube, and all of our games are put into playlists so that you can watch them and catch up like that. A huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors who we could not do this without, in the form of Magehand Press. You can now get their Dark Matter in hardback in stores. It's an amazing book. I've seen it through all the formats start to finish, so it's a really, really amazing thing. Also the Deck of Many Things, and the Magic Moving Spell Cards, as well as I said, in a moment we will be having Humblewood, which is kind of the opposite of this. It's very wholesome and full of cute, very little critters. And last but certainly not least, also Hero Forge, that do the amazing minis, the printed in color. They absolutely blew their Kickstarter out of the water. and we are doing some more stuff with them very, very soon. So keep your eyes open for that, because it's exciting stuff. Other than that, keep evoking emotions, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Well, everyone, we have about 45 minutes until our next show, The Heroes of Humblewood. So until then, we're going to grab something to